Hey everyone, it's Sydney. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. And if you're new, welcome. I am sharing videos about my experience from when I went to prison. I just got out pretty recently, so if you are interested in hearing more about my experience in there and what it was really like in prison, make sure you subscribe and click the bell notification so you get notified every time I post a new video. But today I figured I would just kind of go over what it was really like on an average day for me and like go through kind of the schedule. Every day was pretty similar. It got really repetitive in there. I probably would have gone crazy if I hadn't set up a lot of goals for myself and just things to keep me busy and striving towards while I was in there. But every morning started around 6 a.m. count time. We would have officers come and walk down our halls and look through the window in our doors. So where I was at, it was an all minimum security campus, and it wasn't set up like dorm style where it's just like bunk bed after bunk bed after bunk bed, but rather we had our own like rooms or cells. It really felt more like a room though, because we weren't like locked in. We had like a key to our own room. It was kind of like a college dorm, and then we could just go in and out whenever we wanted basically. But at count time, they would come shine a flashlight in the door or in the window and make sure that we were all there and like count us. And if we weren't like facing the direction of the door, so if they couldn't see any skin or like our face, they would bang on the window bang on the window with our flashlight and like say your last name until you turned around. So for me, they would be like, hip key, and you can hear it like coming down the hallway. So like if the people in the rooms next to you are not facing, like have skin showing, then you can hear it. I started sleeping with earplugs in, but then it's like if you don't hear your name being called, then you could really like bother other people because all they hear is that flashlight like banging on the door. So it definitely put a lot of people in a bad mood first thing in the morning is hearing that. And also the officers were just like so inconsiderate. They would be like talking so loud down the hallway when they were counting us because they would go 2 at a time. And so they would just be like having like a full-on conversation but like shouting down the hallway, and it's like, hello, we're trying to sleep. Anyway, then the announcements start going, and it's like over an intercom, and they start calling us down for mainline or breakfast. Mainline is like what we called any meal, so breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And so they call us down by usually like either a hallway or our whole unit, like building would go, and we would go to breakfast. You don't have to go to the meals. Like I sometimes didn't go to breakfast if I wasn't hungry or didn't feel like getting up that early. So yeah, we would go to breakfast. Then we got back. It was usually time to start cleaning our room for room inspection. Now this is just for where I was at. Every place is different. So I have been to actually like 2 prisons in my one like sentence. I started out at the main women's prison in Washington, and then I got moved to the minimum security like campus. So a totally separate prison in like a different city. And things were run a lot differently there. And since it was a lot smaller, they had a lot more time to nitpick us and like really be on us for dumb shit. So every single day they would come and like inspect our room to make sure it was clean. Every single morning we would like sweep and mop our floors, take everything off of like the shelves or on the table, and put it in our lockers, and then make our bed and make sure everything was looking perfect. Now for a good portion of my time spent in there, I had to take like a drug class. So it was basically it was called like intensive day treatment, and so I would go to that from 8:30 to 10:30, and then again from 1:30 to 3:30 after lunch. I'm not gonna get too much into that right now because I hated it so much. And it wasn't that I hated like the curriculum or like what we were like learning about. I think a lot of it could have been really useful to anyone, but the facilitator or like the teacher, instructor, whatever what you want to call her, was so awful. Like she was literally the worst. And then after I had graduated like the course, after I finished, they fired her and they brought someone new on. And I'm like, okay, thanks a lot. Like that would have been really nice to have someone that actually like gave a shit and wasn't constantly like, I don't know, she just had a lot of like control issues and like power tripping for sure. But that took up a lot of my days most days. Once I finished it, I would usually in the morning go to the gym. Around 8:30 is when they opened. So there were certain times throughout the day that the gym was open. For my unit, it was 8:30 to 10:30, and then 1:30 to 3:30, and then again from 5:30 to 7. So I would usually go at 8:30 or maybe 9 if I wanted to sleep in a little bit more, and then go until 10:30. And then it was basically just like a free-for-all until I went to lunch at 11:30. Pretty much any time that I wasn't at the gym or like going to a meal or in that drug class when I had to be taking that, I spent my time either just hanging out in the day room, which was like a big open like common area where we had like chairs lined up and a big TV. The place I was at was really cool because we had cable, so one of the officers actually like let us like vote each week what we wanted at what time. So we would get like a sheet of paper every Thursday and fill out like we want channel this for like 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, and we would vote, and a lot of us would like group together and like choose what was going to be on TV, except for some reason everybody wanted true crime on all the time, or there would always be like TV shows about like prison, like reality shows about like what it's like in jail or in prison. And I'm like, this is not what I want to be watching right now. Like, I don't want to learn what it's like in prison. I'm already in prison. I want to be fantasizing that I'm getting plastic surgery and chilling on the beach like the Kardashians. I would say just kidding, but honestly, I'm not. But anyway, I watched a lot of TV in there. We watched a lot of movies. It was a fun time. We would like bond over TV shows and stuff. In the day room, there was also like tables where people would play like cards or just like hang out and talk or like eat. We had like a little kitchen area. There was just like 2 microwaves and like a hot shot to get like instant hot water, and then like an ice machine so we could make our own meals if we wanted to or make snacks. Pretty much that is all there is to do in there is eat. So like everyone, like it's such a thing in women's prison that everyone gains weight. Like everyone gains so much weight from like eating ramen and cookies, and like it's the one thing that really makes us happy in there. So yeah, we ate a lot of junk food. We ate all the time, and like it was really exciting and like fun for like you and your friends in there to be like making all these like cool desserts, seeing what you can do out of like the little ingredients that you could get on commissary. Other than that, I spent a lot of time in my room reading. A lot of people read in prison, like, and that's something that I would never like take the time to do on the outs, like out in the real world. My life was so busy before going into prison. I was going to school full time, I was working pretty much full time, and like I would never pick up a book and like read, like, plus I get so distracted with my phone. So it was nice to have that time to read with no distractions, especially because I was reading a lot of like self-help books. I'll make a whole separate video about like the books that I read in prison that helped me so much. I really, really recommend picking up a book and learning something new. It helped me stay in like a very good mindset, and I also just like learned a lot and discovered a lot about life and about myself. But yeah, pretty much everyone like had certain programs that they attended. So like whether it was like groups that they were a part of or like church services or whatever, or like they offered like high school and college level classes, so people would go to school for some of the day, and so everyone's kind of doing their own thing. But it's like a free-for-all. Like there's a lot of free time spent in there, but you can like set your schedule up to be pretty busy if you want to. Once I had finished that drug class though, I was like, I'm just gonna like do my own thing. I felt like I finally had enough time to like get a good workout in like once or twice a day and read as much as I wanted to. The only times that we really had to be in our rooms is like during count time and then at night after curfew. So we had another count time at like 3:30. We got called back into our rooms, and then they would count us at 4, and we just had to be in our rooms. And then as soon as that cleared, as soon as they like confirmed that everyone was still there and hadn't escaped, then they would start calling us to dinner. Dinner was at like 4:30, which is so early, but I got so accustomed to it that it was like as soon as it hit like 4 o'clock, I was like, I'm starving like every day, especially if I didn't have any like snacks or canteen, because I didn't always get like money put on my books and stuff. I didn't want to like be asking people to support me in there financially. Like, I did what I did. That shouldn't be anyone else's problem. Like, that's something that I should have to deal with. But a lot of people did get like money put on every single week, so they had a lot of like food to make and wouldn't even go to the mainline meals. So once we got back from dinner, we had to wait for everyone else to be done with dinner, and then at 5:30 they would call movement again. Oh yeah, so movement is like, you can't technically like go from one building to another unless it's during a movement. Where I was at, they did it every 30 minutes, which is crazy because you can literally go walk in the yard. We were allowed to like go in and out whenever we wanted, as long as it wasn't like dark outside. But at 5:30 they would call movement again. Some people would go to like evening classes for school, or I would usually go to the gym unless it was Tuesday, and then I would watch the new episodes of Wild 'N Out. It really, like, it didn't matter what you did. Like, it was really nice. I had like a lot more freedom than I ever expected. Like, I definitely thought it was gonna be like, you always have to ask to go somewhere, and like, you can't just be like free roaming around. It was like, I can't believe that I can just leave my room whenever I want. Like, I thought it was only gonna be like certain hours a day. It was like all day long. I could go in and out of my room. I can go outside. A lot of times if it was nice out, I would walk outside just like in the little like loop that they had in the yard. It was really small, so I would just like walk in a circle basically over and over again. But it was just a nice way to like kind of have some alone time because you're constantly surrounded by people. I also started to like take a lot of naps during the day just to make the time go by a little faster. Oh yeah, and something that I totally forgot to mention is like everyone works. So you get a job in there. I forgot to mention it because for some reason, like, this is seriously like a work camp where I was at. Like, that's what they called it, is like a work camp, because everyone immediately gets assigned a job. You can either be like a porter, which is like basically like janitorial, where you like clean the bathrooms or like clean certain areas, take out the trash, or like floor crew, where you like sweep and mop the floors, or you can work in the kitchen. You can work in the library, you can work in the gym as a clerk. There's a bunch of different jobs, and you don't get to pick, you just get assigned one. But for some reason, I flew under the radar. Like, I didn't get a job, I didn't get assigned a job, and I was like, that's fine. Like, I didn't say anything, I didn't tell anyone, because I was like, if it happens, it happens, but I'm not gonna like bring it to their attention because I didn't want a job, because they're all shitty, and you only make 42 cents an hour. But finally, after I like finished my drug class, which was like 3 months long, they still didn't give me a job for a while, so I was really living my best prison life. And then one day I got called into the counselor's office, and she was like, hey, like, we noticed that you don't have a job. And I was like, yeah. So I got put on the grounds crew, or like horticulture, which in the summertime they do a lot of like mowing the lawn, pulling weeds, like gardening, stuff like that. But since it was winter time, there wasn't really a lot for me to do, but everyone said it was seriously the worst job, because every single day we had to go through the trash, like all of the bags of trash, and sort out the recycle from like the actual garbage. And then we would take out the trash and go dump the compost. So it's kind of cool because I got to actually go outside the gate, like outside of the barbed wire fence, and go like dump the compost every day. But it also had its downside, because if we were ever left unsupervised, like if there wasn't a cop with us at all times and had eyes on us at all times, we would have to get strip searched on our way back in. But that just became like the norm for me. Like, I didn't really mind it after a certain point. The worst part about my job was probably when it snowed and I had to shovel snow in the parking lots, and I don't like to be cold. But yeah, it definitely humbled me a lot. But yeah, that's something else that I forgot to mention, is that a lot of people like go and do their jobs. Mine, I worked from like 7:30 in the morning and just for like a couple hours, and then I would have the rest of the day to myself. So that's why I forgot to even mention it, because I only had that job for like 2 months out of my whole time there, and it was only for like a couple hours a day, so it really wasn't that bad. But that's pretty much it. Like, I had so much time to do whatever I wanted, and it did get boring, but I kept myself busy. Like, sometimes I would just like meditate in my room, like on my bunk, and just like put in earplugs and just chill by myself. It was honestly kind of like a nice break from reality where I was constantly like go, 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 and actually had time then to really like sit and think and do a lot of things to work on myself that I otherwise would never like make the time for in my like busy everyday life. So that was really nice. That's pretty much all I can think of right now. If you guys have any suggestions or things that you want me to talk about in regards to my prison experience or whatever, leave a comment down below. I will check them out and see what I should film next. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time.